Hi everybody, I'm so excited to be here again with you. My name is Kaley and I am the energy behind a divine dream. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I really want to talk about something that I think is going to be really powerful for those of you who are on your reality creation journey and are on this path of more consciously creative, soul embodied experience that we're awakening to, that we are able to become more aware of as we are living in this dream, becoming aware that we are creating in the dream. So I want to talk about the two different kinds of fear that we experience. And there may be more, but for the purposes of this video, I just want to talk about the adrenaline fear and mentally created projected fear. So adrenaline fear, I'm sure you've felt it before, we all have, is when something happens and we have the adrenaline response and we are moved to do something, to react to something, a stimulus in our environment, where we're already on that timeline and that energy chemical compound is poured through our bodies and like, okay, you gotta act. Like, yeah, so there's that. And then there's also the mentally projected fear that we are creating, or maybe we are overlaying from our past onto our future. So when you're noticing fear, a really great, what's the word for it? It'll come to me, but it's false evidence appearing real. So if you can kind of sit behind your mental projections of fear and notice when you're kind of amping up that energy, if you can breathe and sit behind it and, okay, this is a false evidence appearing real. I don't actually know what's going on. So not making assumptions about something that's going on. You may be feeling energy, but if you're feeling fear, you have become an unclear channel. And this is so powerful to notice, because when we're expanding into more of our intuitive abilities and we're able to feel more in the field and pick up on energy, and maybe you're clairsentient, maybe you're clairaudient, like all the clairs. If you don't know what those are, I highly recommend Googling them, or maybe I'll make a video on them in the future. But when you're on this ascension path and you are expanding into greater sensitivities, your psychic abilities, you can notice, like, whoo, you're gonna notice it, where expanding into the unknown activates your fear. Because a couple different things, right? We are so programmed by Hollywood to be fearful of the unknown. We're programmed by religion to be fearful of the unknown. We're programmed by the aunt that told us not to, talk to the ghost that was at our bedside when we were 4. That wasn't my exact experience, but there's so many projections onto the unknown that it's a scary thing, especially when it comes to more etheric experiences, more spiritual experiences. And these things are meant to be dissolved at this time. And we have the ability to do so because we know more about dissolving fear now more than ever. We've always had access to this information, but now we have YouTube. So let's go. So obviously, if you're in an adrenaline rushed experience where you need to make a decision, where it's a life or death situation and you have that chemical, pulsing through you, you need to move, unsafe situation, moving into a safe situation. There's already like physicality occurring. Move, do what you need to do, whatever that is. Now, when we're talking about that mental projected fear, this is where we get into alchemical processes, where we can actually sit within ourselves. And even in a split second, if you notice and you can catch yourself creating fear and overlaying fear onto a situation, we're going to learn how to like sit back and alchemize this so that we can open up to possibilities again. Because fear contracts us. Fear makes us dumber. It really does. It starts to diminish our ability to think clearly. And that's with any hyper intense emotional response, is you are emoting a lens into your auric field and you will see through that lens. So, Joe Dispenza talks about this, where it's like you can't think beyond the emotional experience that you're having, or that it's challenging to, because like when you are in a vibrational frequency bandwidth, you are in a vibrational frequency bandwidth. And when you're very emotional, that is kind of like taking up space in your field. But we are energetic beings and we are the creators of our reality. So we can transmute our emotions and we can sit behind them, witness ourselves, and choose how we would more prefer to feel, how we want to experience something. We can shift anything. So you've got this. When it comes to fear, you're going to notice that feeling of this building. If you've ever experienced anxiety, you are creating into fearful realities. You're using your mind to project into the future that you don't know what's going to happen. Bring it back. And you might say, well, this happened and I knew it was going to happen and I was thinking, and then it happened. Okay, well, catch yourself. We create self-fulfilling prophecies, and the energetic experience that you are creating within your body, that you are feeling through your form, that you are emitting into your field, is condensing the experiences that you are having. It is literally calling out from other people like, hey, interact with me in this way, please. It's got to happen. So you want to kind of sit back, and this is a practice. You might be really good at this right off the bat, but other times you may still get pulled into the emotional charge of fear. Or maybe, you can even use it for any other emotion, but for the purpose of this video, I'm talking about fear. So when we start thinking about the future, thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, and we are fearful of it, like, oh my gosh, like, what if this happens? Oh my gosh, like, maybe you get a call and somebody that you love has been in an accident or something like that, and all of a sudden you're just like contracted and you're in fear. Your body is already saying like, this is bad that this has happened. We need to like loosen that up, because we don't know. From a soul perspective, we don't know what the highest and greatest good for somebody's path is. And people need to have experiences to grow and to evolve and expand. Yes, we are creating into more of a choice point where we can expand through creativity and co-creative expansion versus fear and suffering and pain and suffering and pain and suffering. You get the point. So we're like shifting, and we have that ability to rework our nervous system to attune ourselves to openness, to heaven on earth realities, to beautiful unfoldings, to, I don't know what the purpose of this is, but I know that God's got my back. I know that everything is working out for me. Everything is working out best case scenario. If y'all know Heather, activation vibration, she's awesome. She's a wonderful person. So that's her thing there. Everything is working out best case scenario. But like when we lean in to really starting to play with, okay, well, what if this is working out for me? What if this is happening for my highest and greatest good? Can you feel the difference in your body? Can you feel how, oh no, this is, I don't know, this is really bad. Like this is bad. Like this isn't going to be good. Like this, like, oh no, this could happen, versus, okay, I don't know what the purpose of this is, but I'm going to be present and I'm going to be here. I'm going to open up to miracles. Miracles are happening now. They feel like the contraction versus the expansion of the way that we use our mind. Now, I'm not saying that something perceived to be bad won't happen or that it will happen, but we have the inner authority to attune to the experiences that we want to experience, first emotionally and in our own smaller sphere, and then into the co-creative energies with others. And it's really interesting because when you're first like kind of pulling yourself out of, if you're like earlier in your journey, there's like kind of a lot of cleanup that happens vibrationally. So it might feel like, well, I'm doing the things, I'm shifting my energy, I'm trying to be positive, but you might not have had that energetically templated strong enough because you're still more in the older energy and you're still toggling more, versus when you've cleaned up a lot and you have more peace and presence in your life and things aren't as tumultuous. Things are much smoother. And that's what we're able to create into for ourselves. So when you're noticing that fear, back to fear, when you're noticing that, allow yourself to drop in. And even if you have like something in your life that's been coming up that's, you know, you're afraid of this happening, maybe that you have like some pains in your body and you're like, instead of being open and being curious, you've been going into fear, you've been projecting worst case scenario. Just drop in and allow yourself to journal or just ask these prompts to yourself. Is, okay, I can notice that I'm feeling fear. If everything is happening for me, what is the gift here? If everything is happening for me, how can I be for myself right now or for others that will create a more positive, beautiful, benevolent outcome? Who do I need to show up as for myself or for others so that miracles can happen? Because you're going to notice that you get to call yourself up and out into your highest expression. And in that, you shift your reality. So anything that's been fearful, anything that is mentally projected as fear, can start to shift into possibility again. Where, okay, this actually gets to be the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me. Because I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow, I'm going to expand no matter what happens. I'm using this experience for the highest and greatest good for myself and all. I am extracting and extrapolating all the gold and all the juicy pearls from this experience, no matter what happens. I don't know what is going to happen. Nothing has condensed yet. So, and that's something that's so powerful too, is if something hasn't condensed, and when I say condensed, I mean it hasn't like crystallized, it hasn't manifested in your physical reality just yet. When that hasn't happened yet, you are still in a powerful place of creative energy. And that is a really exciting place to be. So when we're looking at our reality and we start to notice that funnel of fear, and if you can stop and just breathe into it and be like, false evidence appearing real, anagram, and there's a word for that. I feel like I need to look it up, but you know what I mean. It's false evidence appearing real. Okay, I don't actually know all the information here. You may think you do. You may feel like you do, but how clear are you? This is something that's so important too, is like, because when you have these psychic abilities and this intuitive information starting to come online and you're feeling all this stuff, if you are not clear, meaning you don't have an emotional lens over something, because when you're clear, you feel information as information. Whereas if you're receiving intuitive information and you notice there's like a some kind of like negative, or like it just feels kind of strange, or okay, like I'm noticing this information. Is it that the information is strange and has like a texture and a quality to it that is less harmonious? Or am I having an emotional fear response to this because I'm overlaying my projections onto this intuitive information, where it's like, oh, that's bad. Oh, I saw this on a show once, and that's like, this isn't good. Just like, you have to be very subtly aware of what's going on within you and the information that you're picking up in your field, because that's going to help you attune in the present moment to higher vibrational realities. And I hope I'm explaining this well. This is like kind of like a deeper topic that I feel like can be, and it's so subtle that I feel like I could talk about this for a long time in like all different kinds of ways. But getting back into this, so we're noticing the fear, we're noticing the mental projection, and we are reclaiming our presence. We are reclaiming our creative authority and saying like, okay, this hasn't condensed yet. I don't know what's happening. Of course, like every experience is different, so you might not have as much time to like discern this, but the more you clarify your energy, the more time and space, and the quicker you get with this, you'll have more time to discern these things. You create that for yourself, especially if that's your intention. So noticing that fear and asking like, hey, where do I feel this in my body? What does this remind me of? Is this mine? If you're a sensitive person, which we all are to varying degrees, you are probably somebody who has like felt other people's stuff, and because you have felt it, you may have claimed it as your own. And that is not always true. Yes, there is a resonance where, because you are somewhere in the vibrational vicinity of that energy, you're able to feel it and pick up on it. However, you don't have to keep it. You can come back into clarity. You can come back into your radiant, vibrant soul light energy. I promise you can do this. So if you're noticing like negative energies or distorted energies, you're just like, oh, like what is this? Let's get into clarity. Let's get into, what do I feel like at my best? What do I feel like when I'm clear? And then create that space. Start feeling that more, and it will push out, transmute, or illuminate and highlight whatever you need to know about yourself to learn, to grow, to expand, and to release any of these disharmonious energies so that you can be more of who you came here to be, or who you want to be. So, creative authority, soul authority. You are the sovereign soul. You have dominion over your body, over your space, because you are directly connected with the divine. You are the divine. You are liquid love in living action, and you are God's source, all there is, in God's source, all there is. So it's like a little trippy, but it's fun to understand this stuff, because we don't need to be scared anymore. It doesn't mean that you're not gonna be. It just means that you're gonna lean in. It means you're gonna be curious about, ooh, why is this here? What is this fear telling me about myself? Because clearly there's a pattern in my field, whether it's in your mental field, your emotional field, or it has condensed into your body at that point. There is a pattern here that I am vibrationally moving beyond, and there's like a membrane membrane. There's like a membrane there. Do you ever say words? Do you ever speak and then you speak the words and you're like, that just didn't sound right? And you're like, oh, okay. Let me say it a couple more times to try and get it right. And you're like, nope, no, now it sounds worse. So, but there's like, a subtle quality in the energy field that you can kind of feel when you start to clarify your energy and you start, bringing and bridging and templating that energy out, where it is going to start to loosen up those more distorted, disharmonious patterns, because you are vibrationally moving beyond it, but it's like, oh, it's still kind of here. So something's going to happen where it's either going to dissolve naturally, or there's something there for you to know about yourself on a deeper level, where it's like there's a soul learning that your soul's like, you could dissolve this like lickety split, or you could lean into it and like kind of like taste it and really like digest it so that you have more of the logical learning, because there's a reason for you to need to have that kind of in your like your mental log to carry forward for whatever it is that you're meant to do in this life. So when your light, that coherent field of your soul's energy is, starting to really come online, it's gonna dislodge a lot of fear. And you'll notice too, like, it's kind of a good example is like when you look at a black cat. So some people will be like, oh no, black cats are bad, like that's bad luck. It's just like, no, actually, I get to create what a black cat means to me, and it's good luck. It's abundance. Like, honestly, everything to me is like abundance. Like, turkeys are abundance, pigeons are abundance. So, but we get to create that. We get to interface with God source, all there is, in this play board, this game, this vibrational, creative playground. Everything that you see that's like really crunchy and distorted is created. Like, it's created by us. And we get to create something new, and that is like the most exciting thing to me. So when we are in this process of discerning fear and being like, okay, fear is not real. Again, the mental fear, because it's a different thing. I gotta maybe think of a distinction for that, because there's fear and then there's the adrenaline, like, fear of like you're in the moment and you're like scared because you can feel this like oh shit kind of thing, versus the distortion where you've created something other than love. Like, you've taken on and now you're projecting something other than love, because for some reason everybody's experience is different, but there's a misunderstanding about reality, and we put ideas and concepts on reality saying, because this happened, it means this. Because this happened, it means this about me. Because I express this way, it means this. Like, and you can feel in your body and in the clarity of like your energy field, if that feels like joy and love and bliss. And if it's not close to that energy, if it's not just like peaceful, neutral, just kind of like, huh, okay, there's something there that can be looked at. Nothing's good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And we get to, as conscious creators, surrender into this at the same time too, because it's, yes, we're creating, but we're also surrendering back into like the divine matrix. I love that. I'm a huge fan of Greg Braden, and one of his books is The Divine Matrix, and he talks about like all different kinds of things. He's a wonderful researcher. I highly recommend his show on Gaia if you want to get noodled. It's so fun. But his book is called The Divine Matrix, and it's like, you hear a lot about the Matrix, busting loose from the Matrix, but there is, in and through all things, the divine matrix, the loving, platform that is holding all of us, that is dreaming us into being. And we are participants in this as well. And we are creators as well. And we get to experience this. We get to surrender into this juicy, loving experience. You're not here because you got sent here because you're a sinner. You're here because you chose to be here and because you wanted to be here. Oh, like, sign me up. What's this like? You're like, oh shit. Like, oh, this is what this is like. But we're also coming out of a time where humanity has been going through a lot of distortion, not really knowing who we are in our power. But that's changing. But in the grand scheme of things, like, as an infinite soul, like, we'd probably do it over and over again anyways. Like, we'd get bored and be like, hey, you want to do something crazy? Be like, what do you want to do? I want to create a really crazy, distorted matrix and get out of it. It's just like, okay, maybe. But it's just like looking at life and pulling yourself out of fear, looking at life through a beautiful lens of like, okay, I get to choose to either look at something through the lens of fear, project fear, or project into beautiful realities. Our imagination is so powerful. Our imagination, and they know this. Ooh, they know this. Like, there are people who understand that our imagination is so powerful, and we're also creating that as well. So I would love to see everybody create more into like, what would a beautiful reality experience for all of us be? What does your heaven on earth reality feel like, start to look like? What are those experiences that you would have on a daily basis? Tell me about the most beautiful, mundane heaven on earth reality you can think of, where it's just like, ooh, I just got some warm socks out of the dryer and this is a beautiful experience. like there's so many things that we take for granted that are already such a beautiful heaven on earth experience, but they're so normalized that it's just a part of the underlying energy that is already here for us to experience. Our ancestors have created so many prayers that have been answered for us now. You like a dishwasher, like all the women who like prayed that into existence through the ages. And men, I'm sure there were some men back in the day just wanting something a little faster. Yeah, so I feel like I went off on a tangent, but we have the power to really dissolve fear, and we're putting the nightmare to rest because we don't need to create terrible experiences, fearful experiences, just like the horror experiences. My approach to looking at this on a personal level is that if it happens in my life, I will deal with it. I will tend to myself through the process. I will love myself through it. And I will alchemize that. But if not, then I'm not going to willingly anymore. I used to do that. I used to willingly like watch horror and watch I used to be a huge Criminal Minds fan, but I was also very sick when I was in that part of my experience in this life. But to willingly engage and morph your imagination with things that are distorted, you have to be very mindful about alchemizing that and noticing yourself, because you're impressing those images into your mind. It takes a while to pull away from that and begin to impress beautiful images into your mind, so that when you get a little anxious or nervous, instead of defaulting to some kind of horrific image that pops in your head, some kind of distorted image, you can self-soothe real quick because you're so good at it. that you're able to see the beauty, see and feel those realities that are supportive, that are healthy, that are wealthy, that are vibrant, that are thriving. And how often, this is my encouragement for you as I kind of finish this video, is how often are you focusing on your heaven on earth reality? How often are you thinking about thriving, not just for yourself, but for your family and your friends and your world, your community? Because as each of us become a healthy cell in the whole of humanity, and we are living in soul alignment, because my healthy cell in humanity is going to look a lot different than my partner's healthy cell in humanity, or like my mom or my dad or my brother and sister. Like, everybody has a unique expression that they are here to embody, but that has to come from within, from your direct connection to God and your sovereign divinity coming online, because we've seen it before. It doesn't really work to overlay rules. What does work is when everybody stands up from within and engages as their crystalline Christ light, their soul light, their sovereign, their sovereign divine being. And we get to choose that. We get to choose to be that. And with all the love and grace that it takes to love yourself for every aspect of your unique fractal in this play. So take time to really feel into, what does it look like for my family to be thriving? And dream big, because you don't know how it can happen. But if you can start to feel it, you are quantumly templating that energy into the here and now, because there is only here and now. So reclaim your power mentally through everything. Notice the fear. Catch yourself in it. We don't need to keep creating into the future that way, because you will experience a different reality based off of what you are expressing. And expressing from a fearful place, you walk different, you talk different. Expressing from an open, curious place, you walk different, you talk different. And this last piece about, that mentally projected fear, there's so much to talk about here. I feel like I could talk about this forever. But looking at fear is like, even if you're scared, how much can you hold yourself in love? How much can you call in your heart, your soul, God, source, all there is, your angels, like your spiritual team, whatever it is that can help you start to feel that you are held in that divinity, you are held in this unconditional love, that even if you're scared, you are still held and you are still loved, and you are so powerful to walk forward in your life and move through that feeling of fear, that feeling of being scared, and come out the other side of it as a victor, as even more empowered, and showing yourself that, oh, that wasn't so scary. Because how many times have you done that? How many times did you get on the roller coaster, you were so scared, and then you're off and you just want to get back on again because it was actually so much fun? Or maybe you realize it wasn't for you. But, that's, fear is something to lean into. Again, different than the adrenaline fear. Like, make a choice, make a decision, do what you need to do when you feel that adrenaline pumping through. But if you're mentally creating into fear, you got to catch that. You got to dissolve it, got to resolve it within your field and within your mind, so that you can create more of what you actually want to experience. Is there anything else that wants to come through? Allow yourself to have fun with it. Allow yourself to invite that playful heart back online. Shake up the energy. What can you do for yourself to pattern interrupt? Dance, shake, like the shamanic shaking. Put on, there's that one song by Florence and the Machine, which is like, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. What do you need to do to shift your frequency? To create space so that you have a different vantage point to like look at reality in a different way. Because no matter what, if you can't shift it, you're gonna have to deal with it. Like, I love it. Okay, so if you have any questions, please drop them down below. I'm so grateful that you stuck along this long, and I hope that, you know, this can start to bring more clarity to how to energetically massage out of fear so that we can experience more creativity, more dance parties. So awesome. So yeah, and the other thing too is before the end of the year, so it is 2024 right now. 2025, I am going to be shifting my prices for my energy attunements. I do these things called energy attunements, and basically I am a channel, and I do my best to be a crystalline Christ-light channel and a heart-light channel for the Ascension process and my soul's fullest divine expression. And while I'm doing energy attunements, I offer a frequency transmission that is a combination of energy healing. It's a lot of light language, a lot of like toning and vibrational kind of breaking up of anything in the field and re-clarifying whoever I'm working with, you know, re-clarifying their frequency. And bringing through the perfect frequencies that are meant for them to assist them in shifting into their highest divine potential, while also keeping in mind their heart and soul's prayer and intention for the session. So if that sounds like something that you want to experience, please book with me before the end of the year, before my prices go up. And I love doing them. They're so fun. So very hot and fast, like energy, like frequency. It's a very high vibrational experience. And I'll actually leave a link below to not only the page to book, but then also all of my testimonials that I have. So you can read other people's experiences. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, so if you're interested in that, get in before the end of the year, or whenever in the future. But yeah, all right, cool. Take care, everybody. Have a beautiful, beautiful life, and enjoy your experience until you tap into this frequency again. All right, enjoy your creation. Bye.